Time now for our Life and Info segment where we focus on information that's hopefully useful for your everyday life. Today we're going to talk about burnout syndrome. It's a medical condition of sorts, so we have our health reporter Choi Si-young in the studio to tell us more. Si-young, start by describing to us all what burnout syndrome is. It sounds like it might be something that's fairly common in this modern, hectic life we have these days.
Well, Mark, according to the latest definition by the World Health Organization, burnout is an occupational health problem with involving multiple symptoms, all resulting from only work-related stress. Now, we call this a syndrome because, well, it has many symptoms that occur simultaneously. The WHO says burnout syndrome has characteristics such as feelings of energy depletion, mental distance from your job, negativity, and reduced professional efficacy.
So it is a health problem then that's related to work stress. So is it classified as an illness or a disease or some sort? And why is it specifically classified as stress related to being in the workplace rather than just the general stress of life?
Well, it's not a disease or illness, and the WHO also says it's not a medical condition or a distinct disorder. And on the reason it has to be work-related stress, let's take a listen to what some experts had to say.
We have people coming in who think that if they cannot finish a certain amount of work, then they are worthless. These people make up the majority of those suffering burnout. This is why we're talking about burnout in a work-related context only.
Okay, so then in that case, how do we know if we have burnout syndrome? And if we do think we do have it, should we go to see a health professional to seek advice, or is it something we can overcome ourselves?
Well, actually, today I brought a self-test that tells you whether you are likely to suffer from this syndrome. Now, let us take a closer look at the test. If you look at the test, you examine each symptom and give yourself a score for each item on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree. Now, a score of 65 or above means you likely suffer from the syndrome. Now, please be advised this is a rough assessment, so consult with a health professional if you're worried about your condition after you take the test.
Okay, that's useful to know, Si-young. I presume viewers watching at home might be wondering what kind of age group in particular might suffer from burnout syndrome, and what symptoms are most frequently referenced by those who actually seek out professional medical help.
Well, unfortunately, at this point, we have no official studies done on which age groups suffer most, but some health experts did say middle-aged men make up the majority of individuals coming in seeking help and advice for this problem.
Right.
Let's hear from the experts.
Men in their 40s are usually on the path to managerial positions, and evidently they feel more pressure than other people in the workplace.
He said the most frequently referenced symptom was energy depletion or exhaustion. He added that out of all the people he sees, professional license holders are most likely to come through his door. But on the question on whether men or women are more likely to suffer, he said it's hard to determine given the lack of data at this point.
Okay, that's very good information. So if we feel like we are burning out ourselves, you showed us the checklist there. Some people may have spotted some feelings they get every once in a while. How can we go about mitigating this issue, and how exactly does the counseling work?
Well, basically, counseling aims to widen your perspectives to find out what you really want. If you suffer from this symptom, the chances are the pain is so great that you are unable to mentally to step out to see how you things around the world. Now, counselors first listen to what you have to say and ask you a series of questions and walk you through the choices you could have made or can still make, but overlooked because you are suffering this mental anguish. This process helps you to discover what you really want deep down, and satisfying those true inner desires is supposed to shake you out of the burnout symptoms. Now, counselors say the time needed for each individual to get to that point varies. They said individuals' will to cope with the symptoms can either shorten or lengthen the treatment period.
Okay, so Si-young, what do health experts say is the best way to prevent yourself falling foul of burnout syndrome then?
Well, for that, let's take a final listen to some experts that I spoke to.
So you might need to create a social support system so that you can talk with somebody, especially when you feel so down. That's the first thing. And second thing is that maybe you should avoid overwork or overtime work. So please do not bring your work home. That's the key. And also try to have some healthy...
Yeah, well, it's so ingrained in Korean culture to work long hours and things like that, and you are put under a lot of stress by your bosses and whatnot. You can see why this is becoming a big problem in Korea, and we must stress that mental health is a very serious issue, so if you feel like you have any issues in regard to that, you should go and see a professional. Si-young, thank you very much for your time today. Great tips and advice, and hopefully it can help some of our viewers out there. Thank you.
My pleasure.